With the Boston Bruins having a very up and down season this far, this has led many Bruins fans to talk about trade candidates that are currently on the team and who should be gone before the trade deadline. And that's what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to be trying something a little different and going over the top trade candidates the Boston Bruins have before the trade deadline. Now, as I mentioned, I do have the top 3, and let me know what you think about this format of video. And if you do want to see more, be sure to let me know in the comments and hit the like button, and make sure to hit the subscribe button if you do want to see more of this. But as I mentioned, let's get into our first player here, the first of 3 that I do have. And this one, first of all, is going to be Charlie Coyle. Now, we know Charlie Coyle has really had a better season as of late. The past few games have been much better for him and for many other players who were struggling early on in this season. But still, Charlie Coyle is most certainly a trade candidate the Bruins need to consider, and many other teams have already started to look at. And I do want to pull up right now a little excerpt of what we're looking at with Charlie Coyle over the next few seasons. Charlie Coyle carries a $5.25 million cap hit until the end of the 25-26 season and has an 8-team no-trade list. And after posting career highs with 25 goals and 60 points last season, he's only starting to turn it around a bit right now. And having Charlie Coyle at 5.25, not expiring this year, but expiring at the end of next season, he's carrying quite a hefty cap hit for the Bruins right now. You know, we're still looking to add a few pieces here and there. The team has been getting a little bit better in play as of late, but this is not something that I think will be what the Bruins are going to be looking like when it does come playoff time, whether or not they do end up making the playoffs, of course. And with the $5.25 million that would be available clearing up with Charlie Coyle, the Bruins would have many different options there, whether that would be a defenseman with the injuries that we've had, whether that would be another goal-scoring forward that could fit in the top 6. Charlie Coyle has not filled the role that we thought he would this season this far, and looking at his last 5 games, as I mentioned, he's been better in his last 5 games, 3 goals coming in the last 5 with 1 assist, and overall on the season, we really haven't seen the Charlie Coyle that we wanted to so far. And on his stats for the season, we're looking at really just 29 games, 7 goals, 2 assists, and 9 points. We want to see a bit more, but at the age of 32, going on 33 very soon, he is aging out of this, his prime, $5.25 million, and a forward that really has not found the best groove for him this season. Still putting up 7 goals, but we do want to see a bit more out of Charlie Coyle. But many teams could be looking to add his skill set, add his type of player to their roster come playoff time. And of course, the Boston Bruins have some availability to replace some of these forwards, to replace some of these defensemen, and whether they choose to not or do that, or try to get someone else in a trade for Charlie Coyle or any of the other players I'm going to mention here in this video, is something that the Bruins are going to have to consider, especially as this team gets better and better and closer towards the trade deadline following and then the playoffs. But let me know what you think about Charlie Coyle. Definitely one that we've kind of been unanimously talking about, but still we haven't seen too many reports of teams going out and looking at a guy specifically like Charlie Coyle. And with our second person we have in this video is Brandon Carlo. Brandon Carlo's been a guy that has really not found the success that he's been looking for in this season. He's not really been the type of defenseman that we've been looking for, although in recent games, he has found a good link with Nikita Zadorov on the second line defensive pairing. And although Zadorov is playing well for the most part in the past few games, Brandon Carlo has just kind of been there. He's been not really helping out too much on the offense. The defense has been okay, but he's been nothing that the Bruins have been exactly looking for. He's been nothing really special for the Bruins at this point in the season. And looking at what we have here for the season for Brandon Carlo, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points in 29 games on a -1. Now, obviously, he is a defenseman, so we're not going to see him putting up 90, 100 points. We're not seeing a Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes numbers here, but still, Brandon Carlo, the way his game is structured, it still has not been the best that we've been able to see Carlo play, but as a big defenseman, 6'5", mid-220s to 230s, Brandon Carlo is a very solid defenseman. Now, we've seen the Bruins really go out of their way this season to try and get this big, bad Bruins style of hockey back under their wing, back in the belt, and just go from there, trying to get back to the more physical rather than fast game, and we started to see that at the beginning of the season not work. Now, under Joe Sacco, there has been a few changes. Players have started to get their feet underneath them once again, but the big hitting style of play for the Bruins has really not worked out this season. And looking at the defense that we've had throughout the season and players that have been playing well on the defensive side of things, Brandon Carlo is probably in the bottom of that list and one that the Bruins could look to trade. And now, this is a bit of a risky one and a bit of a different, interesting one that we're looking at compared to many other defensemen and really any other forward. we've seen right now Elias Lindholm be out for quite some time, already a few weeks with an injury, and still, according to Joe Sacco, a few more weeks to go. So trading a guy like Brandon Carlo and seeing what we've seen with the injuries so far from, as I mentioned, Elias Lindholm and Andrew Peeke this season, the Bruins defense has been getting quite a few reps with different lines, different players, Jordan Osterley, Parker Wotherspoon. We've have a lot of defensemen that have really been in different positions, and it could be a big risk to trade Brandon Carlo in this season, especially knowing the injuries and what we've been able to see throughout the season on the defensive side of things. So, of the defensemen, Brandon Carlo is most certainly the top trade candidate. We've seen Elliot Friedman. I mentioned here on the channel that Elliot Friedman has mentioned Nikita Zadorov getting traded back to the Vancouver Canucks or whatnot, or the Canucks should target him. Realistically, those reports are nothing that is really going to happen. Those are just things that Elliot Friedman had thought should, and could work out. But right now, Brandon Carlo is our top target for the Bruins defensive trade candidates, and one that I think certainly could be a very interesting one the Bruins want to consider, especially with Parker Wotherspoon really not getting too much ice time in the NHL. Going on to our third and final player here of this video, different style of videos, Morgan Geekie. Now, Morgan Geekie is one that I really struggle to put on this list, and especially due to his play as of late. The way that we've seen Morgan Geekie run over the past few games has been spectacular. It's been the Morgan Geekie that we were all waiting and hoping to see this season, and especially off the slow start that we have had for him, it was something that was really bound to happen, that Morgan Geekie was going to be traded, but the Bruins held out. Joe Sacco and Don Sweeney held out on this, and we've seen Morgan Geekie really turn around here so far this season. And with $2 million cap hit in the second year of his contract, the second and final year, I should mention, an RFA after the season, a lot of teams will be looking to get a guy like Morgan Geekie under their control heading into free agency. Now, he is one of the targets that the Bruins could consider to re-sign, and I think this season will be a big tell whether the Bruins choose to or not, as they do only have 2 players under contract after this season on the forward side of things in the NHL right now. So, Morgan Geekie, if he does continue to play well, continues to get the puck in the back of the net, help getting the puck in the back of the net, getting assists, goals, whatever, he's going to be a guy the Bruins are probably going to look at considering to re-sign. However, as I mentioned, the RFA, 26 years old, $2 million, could retain $1 million on him for 1 year and a trade candidate. A lot of teams may be looking to overpay for a guy like this. Since he is an RFA, they will have the opportunity to re-sign him without any other teams really having a chance at him if they don't want to. So Morgan Geekie, although he has been heating up with the Bruins as of late, and I mentioned he's one guy that we're all really looking at the past 5 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, and in those 4 points, that has been majority of what we've seen from him this season. And at 24 games, the 4 goals and the 5 assists and 9 points, majority of that over the last 5 games in recent days, has really led us to be very confident in Morgan Geekie once again. But there are very big chances and very interesting chances that we could see Morgan Geekie be very much overpaid for by many other teams at the trade deadline or before the trade deadline, and the Bruins are going to have to look at that, and that's why I put him on this list as one of the top trade candidates. And if he does continue to heat up and teams are not trying to trade for him, I don't think the Bruins do anything. I think that's a very safe bet to keep him on your team. He is an RFA. You can re-sign him and then trade him at a later date, but if he does continue, the Bruins are going to still need to add for the playoffs. But of these 3 players, let me know which one you think is most likely to get traded. If there's someone on the list that you didn't think should be on it, let me know why, and let me know if there's someone that you thought should have been on the list. And there were a few more players I could have kind of put on here, Pavel Zacha being one of them, and a few more others like Trent Frederic, but right now, at the point where the Bruins are, how we're going forward, I really thought that these 3 were probably the most likely to, especially with what the Bruins are trying to turn this team into under Joe Sacco. So, as I mentioned, let me know what you thought about this list, and also let me know in the comments below, and by giving the video a like and hitting the sub button. If you do enjoy this type of content, I could do more lists like this and more stuff for the Bruins like this. I haven't seen too much of it on YouTube, so it's been curious, just wanted to test this out, and the best way to let me know that, as I mentioned, hit the like button on the video. But that's all I got. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, as I mentioned, hit the sub button as well so you don't miss out on any Boston Bruins news. But I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.